Live streaming. And here we go, we're live. So, and here we go, we're live. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rickie.
Hi there, Daniela.
There we go. Sorry. Wow, how exciting. Hello, hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on the School of Conscious Evolution with myself, Daniela Florio. And tonight I've got the honor to welcome Rickie Avitan. And Rickie is joining us all the way from Canada. Good evening, Rickie.
Good evening, good day. Yes, good evening, good day. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, so it's 11:30 a.m. my time. 8 hours difference for you in the UK, but it's wonderful to be here with everyone today. Thank you for inviting me, Daniela.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. And you know, like we met not very long ago, actually, up in Blackpool.
That is correct.
Yes. And, you know, when you talk about divine coincidences and what the chances of us actually living so many, you know, miles far away from each other, and at the same time being able to meet up and you know, and just give each other a proper hug and excitement. And then I got really carried away by, you know, hearing about the workshop you came to run in Blackpool, but we will touch base on that in a minute as well. We have Phil on the line on Facebook. Good evening, Phil. And he's saying good evening, Danny and Rickie. And Phil is based in Wimbledon, in London. We have Honey. Good evening, Honey Thorne. Good evening, ladies. We have Deborah, who has just joined us now on Zoom. And yes, so, and Lisa is watching as well. Okay, so Rickie, you know, we all come from different paths of lives and we all have different background, but there is this one beautiful, wonderful, shiny thing that keeps us very close and, you know, makes us feel like star sisters somehow, or star, you know, brothers and sisters. What was your awakening like? Did you always know? Were you born with, like, sometimes mediums, you know, you are a trance medium and you are a spiritual healer, but how did this come about for you? How was your awakening?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, good day to you, everybody. It's really wonderful. Thank you again, Daniela, for this opportunity. I've always seen the unseen world, always. But I have not made a conscious connection to it, as if my conscious awareness to it was dormant. So I would say dead people. As a child, I was just terrified from it. I'd cover my head over with a blanket, and I would just say, "Go away from me." I've never spoken to anybody about it until about the age of 40, a little bit after 40. So I'm not going to tell you how old I am today, but that's where I begin to share. And so that's where I begin to share. Maybe we can mute the people.
Mute, yes. I'm going to ask to mute the people that have joined us. Thank you. Done.
So then I began to share with someone that I knew at the time. And so that was a beginning. You know, I'm seeing these dead people. And I remember his reaction. He says, oh, that must be very scary. Between the age of 35 to about 40, there was this sense of emptiness within me where I felt I've had everything. I've had a wonderful child, a successful work. I was doing really well at my job and so on and so forth. But there was a sense of emptiness within me. And one day I went to a synagogue and I'm praying there. And I wasn't really a religious person, but just went there, praying there. And then I felt this sense of overwhelming energy that just covered me with this so much love. And I believe that was the moment of transformation, of awakening to this abundance energy. And then at 2011, I had a neck injury where I thought my right arm was paralyzed working in the intensive care unit. And I thought I can't go back to work. So I went to hypnotherapy school where our beloved teacher at the time, Jeannie, says, Rickie, you're a psychic medium. I said, what are you talking about? I had no idea. And that's where actual conscious connection began to take place to what I've been experiencing forever. As a little girl, I used to climb up on a tree. Just as a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just at that age, climb up on a tree, sit on my own, and as if I would, today I know I moved into natural trance, I would move into that space and there would be this heavenly being and we would have a conversation. But I had no awareness of what it is up to my later years right now in my life. In the past number of years, I would say since 2011, 2012, 13, 14, that I became aware of the presence of the spirit and I begin to work with it. It's not just enough to be aware of the presence, but to know that how to work with it, how to connect with it, what is it. And once I begin to understand, a lot of the fears, a lot of the unconscious awareness to it begin just to dissipate. I hope that answered the questions in a long way.
No, and I absolutely loved it because, you see, a lot of us have had this kind of awakening, and it's not been an overnight thing at all. For me and for some of the people that I've met through my journey, I understand that the awakening is actually part of becoming aware of my condition as a human being. And that is, what my physical or economical needs are, yes, important, but they are not at the forefront, because the most important thing becomes how to overcome my difficulties in life and to recognize that there are different ways to look at life, and with the discovery that the more I accept life in its life terms, the more I'm able to attract positivity and to end eventually in what is my life purpose, so my soul path. And, I think it's not at all an overnight process. And you explained it so beautifully, to be honest with you. So when did you start running workshops then? And are your workshops about like trance mediumship? Tell us more about it.
Correct, but I would like to add on, if I may, to
Of
what you
course.
just said. Awakening. What are we awakening? Who are we awakening? What is awakening? I channeled about 3 or 4 months ago, I can't remember, a channeled message by Ezekiel, who spoke about the awakening, which was very contrary to what I understood it to be. And he said that life is not about lessons or tests, it's about elevation, elevating of the mind, because the soul is in connection with the divine, but it needs to find its way to it. So as we are elevating our mind and begin to understand what are we all about here, that through our action, our thoughts, our living life, we begin to understand the higher purpose of our life. So I am not here to obtain a home, a car, yes, but through all of this, there is a process of soul revelation. Mm-hmm. And the differences that I come to know through working, I'm in a nursing background, so working over 30 years in hospitals with clients, patients, and then working since 2012, 13 with the realm of spirit. What I come to realize that the greatest suffering that people experience in their lives is the disconnection from themselves and from the divine. Yes. God of your understanding. I will just call it God because God is God for me. And as they begin the journey back into somewhat understanding that life is not about obtaining a car and a home and a wife and a children, but is far more than that, then their life begin to change. It takes a path of awakening. So the steps they are taking in life is less, even though they can experience challenges and suffering, but the suffering to it, the relationship to the pain, the relationship to the suffering is begin to change. Pre-awakening, pre-understanding that they have an existing soul, an existing spirit within them, to the realization that I am a spirit, I am a soul, and I'm always connected to the divine. I have a constant connection to the divine. And with that, there is a really change in their reaction, in their life. And I see it with my clients all the time, people who lose their children, people who lose people for murder, for suicide, and so on. The suffering of their loved ones, the people who are alive, are so great that when they get the communication, for instance, over time, it begins to change. For them, the people who are living, their understanding of life and death begin to change. And I wanted to say that it is not about realizing life, but it is about experiencing death. Because when you're experiencing death, you begin to realize that there is no death. But we gotta let go of what we are attached to. We gotta let go of what we are so greedy about, or we are so power about. And that's the shedding away, and that's the death of what I know. And to realize that the fallacy of the life that we are living in, we can let that go. And so every moment I begin, the same as our skin shed its skin without us even knowing, and the same as our blood renewed itself continuously, the same way we come to realization that death is taking place every single moment. And with that death, a birth of new life comes every single moment. Because God didn't create the world 5,000 years ago. The world is being created as we speak. Mm-hmm. New ideas, new life, new birth is being created as we speak. So come to the trance mediumship work. I have begun to do trance work, spirit came to me and they said, we're going to speak through you. And I said, what are you talking about? I didn't really understand it. And so I began to sit in circles here in Vancouver, and we sit in a cabinet every once in a while, and we'll take turns, and spirits start to come through. And then I begin to take development classes with some wonderful teachers, and begin to gain a greater understanding. Now, being an educator, nurse educator, I've been a nurse educator for over 20 years. So teaching and classes and writing policies and patient education and nurses material education.
Mm.
So it was easy for me from the teaching perspective to migrate into the trans teaching, to create a curriculum, to create not a standardized, but a wonderful level of classes. And so I began that numbers of years ago, and the classes are being pretty much sold out. I just put a class out of trance healing, and within 48 hours, it was sold out. I have a capacity that I'm taking in. It was actually oversold. And so the people who are joining, a majority of the class, the workshop trance healing, is new people. I have no idea who they are.
Wow.
I have no idea who they are. And it is wonderful because it ties back into, I need to find out what's going on in here. Yes.
Wow.
So I hope I answered your question, Daniela.
Wow, I am blown away actually, because you see that it's exactly the proof in a pudding that, you know, there is a mass awakening. And as you got, you know, your own message from the archangel, you know, you actually progressed and actualized by being of service, by attracting people that, as you say, you don't know where they're coming from, because there is awakening, and there is more and more interest in mediumship, but even more so in the type of work that you do.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Apologies. And so when I was there in Blackpool, the feedback that and the realization that a lot of people had was not only about, you know, how great obviously the workshop was, but how much they had realized of that connection and that ascension and that mental, you know, reconnection to their own soul, right?
Yes, we met at Hope Spiritual Center, which is the founder is Joe Bradley, a beautiful physical trance medium. And through this workshop, I don't have the dates now, but it was in September. I kind of having block about the dates. It was a 6 days, 6 nights, 7 days retreat.
I think it was around the third week in September, wasn't it?
Yeah, intensive trance mediumship week. My vision for the week long was twofold. One, that the people who are attending will be receiving the deep realization of their communion with the divine. And the other one is, of course, the trance mediumship. In order for us to become a pure vessel, we letting go of the mud. So as we worked through this intensive week-long workshop, it was a lot of letting go of the mud. And it was gorgeous to see the participants who joined the workshop. Faces changed. It was unbelievable. I remember I took one of the students and I said, come with me, stand in front of the mirror, look at your face. It's bright. As we are beginning to purify the vessel, the mind, from our anger, hatred, greed, disappointment, all this lower level vibration, the vessel that we want to be is becoming purified. And so the channel that we are is an easier channel to be for the spirit. In our case, is transmediumship. What you're offering as a transmedium is to be, I believe the word of service is overused.
Okay.
But I don't have another word right now to replace it. But to be godly. To be godly, you got to become like God. You got to imagine that you walk with God's feet, God's hands, God's mouth, God's mind. And so when you are purifying and working with the spirit world of a higher vibration who are serving the divine, and you are purifying yourself and you are expanding your magnetic field, you're expanding your etheric field, you're opening the gateways for those beings to merge with you in a pure way, because your mind is pure. So your mind is less there, and then they begin to bring whatever it is that they can work through you. And over time, as you are purifying, removing the mud, you're able to be a pure and pure and pure spirit. As my beloved teacher, whom I loved very much, Simone Key, she always say that transmediumship is about refinement and progression. You refine and progress. And what do you refine? You refine the mind. As you refine the mind, your vibration is being refined. And as we know, then we are opening all to that divinity to come through us to deliver healing, inspiration, liftment, love to humanity. So I believe that each and every one of us, human being walking on earth, has the capacity to become a channel. And I'm not saying trans channel, but I'm saying a channel to love, and a channel to divinity, a channel to create and bring light to the world. And you can do that by purifying your own mind, by realizing and becoming aware of your contribution in the world of matter. What are you thinking? What are you eating? How are you living your life? So a way of living become a philosophy. So transmediumship is a beautiful way, which I'm extremely passionate about, to bring earth, to bring heaven to touch earth. And we can do, each and every one of us can do that by changing our minds, our thoughts, and being in connection with the spirit. So the UK retreat, trans-week-long transmediumship retreat, has created that container for the people who were there to do both things, to remove the mud and be with spirit self, connecting to the divine and being a channel, healing, speaking, communication, bringing loved ones through. It was magic. It was magic. People didn't want to go home. They cried, they shared. And in fact, we are going to meet at someone's house who she is here right now with us on Zoom. We're going to meet in her house in the next 2 weeks just to get together and to practice some more trance. So it was a beautiful experience, which I was privileged to be sitting with these 14 beautiful people. And I believe that whoever was there meant to be there for higher reasons that I may not have an understanding, but the divine does.
And that was so beautiful that I even, I was getting into a state of not trance, but feeling exposed to your energy and the way you are so beautifully talking. I understand why the people were crying and didn't want to leave. Because it must have been truly magical. We have here Phil that is been commenting. We've got a few comments, but he was saying, yes, indeed, the disassociation from self is at the root of so much disharmony and imbalance in the egocentric mind, body and spirit, as epitomized by the astrological 8th death and rebirth and the 12th dissolution houses in evolutionary astrology, very eloquently expressed, Rickie. And thank you, Phil, for your comments. But also later on he's also added, I love that approach, communion with the divine as a precursor to trance and mediumship. It truly is an act of blending, isn't it? It's an act of opening and surrendering even to a divinity to which we intend to work with, isn't it?
You see, thank you, Phil, for a beautiful comment. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. When we able to remove the mud, there is a transformation that takes place at the same time. Because if I am angry, the vibration is very low, is very heavy. If I'm suffering from grief, the vibration is very low, is very heavy. But there is a way to transcend that. First is a desire to change. And sometimes a person comes to that place where they can't handle it anymore. They need a change. Who can't handle it anymore? It's the mind and the soul that's almost having this disharmony. And the soul tells the mind, I need to come out. I need to be revealed. I need to show myself out here. And is that push almost, if you can see it this way, this push almost to tell the mind, I need to take change. And so he began to look for something that is different than what they are doing in the everyday life. So they may join a meditation class, they may join a prayer circle, they may join a yoga class, something that has got to do with spirituality, not with the material world.
Yeah.
And slowly they are beginning to look for, oh, something has changed, something happened, but I don't know what it is. I have no idea. And they begin to look for something else. And slowly but surely, they are being led into that place of process of, let's call it, for a lack of a better word, awakening, what is the connection back to the spirit, the soul that it is within them. Living from a soulful place rather from a material mind place. I think I missed your question to begin with because I kind of went into this place.
Yeah, no, it's to do with the communion with the divinity, and even, we don't go straight into trance like that. It has to be a process, a bit like, I suppose, entering a church, isn't it? And you set first intention to enter this beautiful energy with reverence and surrendering. And once you invite spirit and God and whoever you work with to actually enter, and authorizing them to enter your energy space, and inviting them or it to work with your own energy as a carrier or carriage, to lend a physical space onto an entity which belongs to a different plane for the highest good and the good of all, so that we can get the learning, the wisdom, the teaching that we need to carry on with our progression in this life. And so you cannot simply go into trance mediumship, for instance, without having, sometimes, well, you do it with mediumship, but trance mediumship becomes more intense, doesn't it, than just mediumship?
Trance mediumship uses the faculty of the mind because it's within the mind mediumship. While the perception mediumship, the mental mediumship, is bringing messages, trance mediumship is the merging and blending, getting a hold of the spirit control of the mind. Now, White Feather, who is my spirit, one of my spirit control, have stated it's a personality who expresses itself through the collective that expresses itself through a personality. And so I am writing a new lesson, and I asked him a question the other day, and I said, don't you have your own ideas? And he says, I do. And sometimes I will speak my opinion, but mostly it's the collective opinion. Liken it when you're sitting in the boardroom and the CEO bringing the opinion of all the people around that table into the whatever higher level that he wants to talk to. And so in trance mediumship, it takes time. What takes time? It's the merging, is the whitening, subduing the conscious mind to get out of the way in order for the spirit to bring whatever it is that they want to do, speaking, healing, music, whatever. The more we are out of the way, the purer the transmission is. And so to be out of the way for the conscious mind, who the job of the mind is to think. So if the spirit control saying something, we want to put our 10 cents in, or we got to give our opinion, and then it becomes Rickie speaking. So true trance medium is the learning, is to remove the conscious awareness from it and to allow the spirit control, the spirit that is working with that medium, to bring the information or whatever it is that the medium is working through. Trance mediumship, it's not all about philosophy. There's so many things that we can do with it. We can do philosophy, guidance, healing in all its variation, music, toning, writing, speaking, and so much more that we still don't know. Bringing a loved one to speak to you right directly, so much more that we may just touching the iceberg. So if you think about, you might think differently than what the next statement, okay? And maybe many other trance medium might think differently from what I'm going to say next. Recently, I sit in the power every single day. I also been a practitioner of meditation for the past 30 years. But recently, in the past year, when I sit in the power, I move completely. I transform or transcend consciousness. I no longer, Rickie, when I sit by myself, not with clients or anything, I no longer in this confined physical brain. And so as I transcend and connecting to consciousness, I begin to have a different understanding, and the next statement might be debatable, and I'm okay with that. That the consciousness projecting itself upon my consciousness to bring the information and whatever it is that they want to do. And then just recently, so I'm sitting with that and I'm asking questions, I'm experiencing it, and I'm working with it, because that will change my teaching as it relates to trance. So I am speaking about this here, but not teaching about it yet, because it's an individual experience that I'm experiencing as I move out and blending with consciousness, become one. I am aware of a projection of thoughts, of communion that is coming through. So there is a lot for us to realize. There is a lot for us to understand. There is a lot for us to bring forward as we are becoming purer and purer and higher elevated consciousness. I hope it made sense what I just said.
Absolutely. And it's, I must say, absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating, because even when I ran my own, spiritual development, which is not strictly a circle, okay? But I keep saying to the students, the importance of meditation, because just as you explained it so beautifully, the moment you start practicing it on a so very regular basis, that's when something clicks within us, and we do have this beautiful experience of the transcending of our consciousness to a different level, whereby we become teachable by spirit, whereby our mind doesn't get in the way, and where we can actually start the real learning, which is not the learning which yet was so very important for us to get to where we are. But it's just the beginning. There are people that go on and on and on from one workshop to another, to another, to another, and they believe that they will get all the knowledge and knowing, perhaps wisdom, from other teachers. That may be well true, but to some extent. And I myself, I have been told and taught that the real teaching comes from actually that sitting in the so-called sitting in the power, which other it is the transcending of our own consciousness to a level where we can actually communicate with spirit. And like just you explained, we can actually ask questions and learn. And anything that is to our curiosity, be it by our guides, gatekeepers, archangels, any other beings that want to work with us. And this is where the real growth happens. This is where the real teachers, such as yourself, are able to transmit that type of spiritual wisdom to enable others to actually achieve that level of consciousness that is required to open up the path for our soul path, basically. Because as you explained very well at the beginning, that this is the real reason why we're here. For this learning, reconnecting to our soul, but it's the process. And once we get that connection again, that's again another level of learning and gaining wisdom. This is what my understanding is too.
Yeah, reconnecting to our soul, to reconnect with the divine, to understand and to experience. You see, it is this within the experience that changes can come. When I stood there feeling, oh my God, I have everything. Why am I feeling like this? And then I felt this energy. At the time, I didn't know what it was. But it's the experience that moved me into change. And that experience, can it be taught? I can guide you. So in the classes, the courses we do, we guide you into the experience, but the experience is yours. I can tell you this is how your soul feels. This is how your connection with the divine feels. This is how connecting to your spirit feels. But we can bring you to the place of where you're fertilizing the conditions to be able to experience. But the experience is yours and yours only, because it is your individual soul that has its unique DNA that connect to God, soul. And with that uniqueness of that connection, that you will experience the divine your way, not my way, your way. We as teachers across the board, giving the opportunity to, or the tools, I should say, not opportunities, sorry, but the tools to a possibility of experiencing. So in the trance classes, for instance, I have beginners, intermediate, advanced. And in the beginner classes, we've got, let's say, for example, 20, 30 people joining. 50% of them will do 1 or 2 classes and move away. I don't think because I'm not a good teacher, but because it's not there. They got it, it's not there. 50%, a little bit more, will continue. And what I find is with those people who moved away, didn't continue, they will come back later again. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. Or some of them will go to this teacher, this teacher, this teacher, this teacher, to get maybe something that they are not experiencing. So they are looking for the experience, that specific experience that it's already there with them, but allowing themselves to experience that presence.
That is so powerful. And it's so interesting you're talking about this, because I did get, like a few years back now, a query by someone saying, I am looking for the experience, and you cannot give someone the experience unless in the first place they are attracted to your energy and what you are ready through your own acquired experience to deliver. But also it depends on their own personal journey as well, isn't it?
For as long as you're looking for the experience with the mind, you will miss it. So when I do public demonstration, I tell the people, just close your eyes, kick back and relax. Because if you're looking at Rickie or another trance medium, you are engaging the mind. And the mind is irrational. The mind doesn't have the experience of the energy. The experience is on a different level, the level of the soul. So if I am there sitting with you looking for the experience, I'm going to miss the experience. I'm going to miss it. You see, so in our understanding of how to guide and to provide tools to people, maybe there is fear, maybe there is doubt, maybe there is a disbelief, maybe there is a great impact, how the churches and all of this say, this is devil work, this is possession, don't do. Maybe this is all of this. And maybe they're just debunkers who wants to be there to debunk your work. So we need to understand with our abilities to see where can I meet this person who is unable to experience the experience and has been to so many courses. And then when I am trying to understand, not with my ego, but with my heart, I can really see where are we stuck here? And then provide, or attempt to provide the tools for that person to overcome this mountain and to have them experience maybe not what it is they're looking for, but some presence, energy, something that is beyond the mind. Because the experience of God is not in the mind. The experience of the soul is not in the mind. It's beyond that.
Mm.
It's beyond that. The soul doesn't live in the brain.
No, it doesn't, does it?
You see? So we cannot look for that experience with our brains. But the brain can interpret the experience. I felt something, I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you hear mostly. I had someone who came to my house and he began to cry. I said, what's going on? And he says, this feels like a church. I don't know, when I go into a church. And he just literally, the tears were rolling. He says, it's just too much for me because the vibration is so high.
Yes, of course.
You see? So that was an experience for him.
Wow.
That was the experience.
How amazing is that? Which is, to some extent, when you visit one of these beautiful churches, such as the Sagrada Familia or the Vatican, one of these very old and historical places where you literally feel, I had a very, actually probably the deepest experience I probably felt was actually visiting the Church of San Francesco d'Assisi, San Francis of Assisi in Italy. Oh, that was, beyond the energies and the holiness of all of it. That was an experience in itself. So, and I totally understand why, if someone has turned on that light of opening oneself to consciousness and to the experience, it will find it the moment the conditions are right. And his presence, the presence of this student of yours in your house, was not casual, because he was meant, I believe, to experience that right there with you.
Yes, absolutely.
I get, we have Phil, so we have quite a few other people joining us. So Claudia Olsen, Hossein Arabi, Joe Bradley, Joe has been, hi Joe, and Nigel is saying big hello for me. And Phil is saying, I found my trance training was, at least for the initial years, about personal surrender. And then my guide merging his energy with mine, which ultimately becomes a process of refinement, particularly in terms of teaching. This goes hand in hand with personal development. And as you say, Rickie, a continuous process of spiritual evolution and expanding consciousness.
Absolutely.
And he carries on saying, absolutely everything you're saying makes sense. Now, I am aware that we have about 10 minutes to go. You suggested that perhaps we could do a small meditation, or you can guide us into it.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just let us. You'll watch the time and let me know when to stop. Eric, maybe just raise your hand like this. So, wherever you are in this beautiful wide world, including yourself, Daniela, just take a nice breath in. If you're having glasses on, you want to remove them. And just kick back and relax. As you're breathing in and breathing out, just allowing all the tension in your body, in your mind, just to be in the background. And move your awareness to your body. If there is any tension, just shuffle around and release. And move your awareness to your breath. Natural breath. Easy breath. And move your awareness into your solar plexus space, the space just above, around your diaphragm. Just breathe into that space of solar plexus. As you begin to see this tiny, tiny little light shimmering, moving, and expanding with your breath. As I'm inviting the angels, the archangels, the spirit healers, God and God consciousness to join us now. Provide you the experience of love. And then all your awareness within your solar plexus light. Settle the mind. Move into deeper, into that light. Become the light. Be the light. Deeper and deeper, lighter and brighter. Allow the light to expand beyond the confinement of your physical body. Simply with your mind willing it. Continue to receive the love, the gentleness, nothing to say, just to experience that you are love and you are light and you are divine. And it is your birthright to experience the love. Feel the power that you have, the power of this communion. And very slowly bring your awareness back into your solar plexus, tiny little light that exists within you. Bring your awareness into your breath. And bring your awareness into the vibration of love. The gift of love that is given to you by and from the Creator. Very slowly, when you're ready, come back to the here and now and open your eyes. Take your time, please. I was trying very hard not to move into trance. It's like, whew. I sure wanted to.
Almost did it.
No, I had to fight it because I didn't talk about it. I didn't explain. So
No, no. But that was certainly wonderful. And, you know, it's been an experience, if I may say, to have you here with us tonight. Not only you brought so much peace and light, but also the vibrations of what you carry inside have been expanding, and they've been coming across, I'm sure, to the audience as well as myself. Debbie saying thank you was beautiful. And I totally agree with that. You know, it was really special, truly special. And I just wanted to ask, do you know when you'll be back in the UK again?
I'm not sure, but Joe Bradley, I'm not sure if she's still on live with Claudia Olsen from Denmark.
Okay, yes.
The International Mediumship Week in September 12 to the 16 in Denmark. So
Right.
we will be back in Denmark.
Uh-huh.
As to the UK, Joe Bradley will be here with us in Canada in May. She'll be doing a trans physical workshop here. So I probably not next year, but it will be wonderful to be back there again and to give you this big physical hug that we have.
We had the most beautiful physical hug when we met, and it felt truly special. And I'm so blessed that our paths have crossed, because, you know, I feel that when we are awakening, then we are meant to experience love, not only through the power of trance and spirit, but also reconnecting our energies, because we come from that loving place, you know, which is the higher seat of the soul, the higher self. And so a lot of people are saying, oh, Claudia is here, still with us, Olsen. So she's
Claudia.
sending lots of hearts.
Hi, Claudia.
Stephen Tickle saying thank you. Mario Frisbee saying thank you. How exciting. Debbie saying Debbie's based in California. Patricia Lavelle and Phil is saying that was beautiful. Thank you both for the great evening. So what can I say? I would love you sometime in the new year to come back and maybe have a bit of both again, a little bit of meditation and a little bit more of a chat. And yes, thank you so much. I'm currently actually blown away by the energy that I've again experienced with you tonight. I did experience it already in Blackpool when we met in person physically, but your energy is ever so beautiful. So thank you so much for giving us your time. And I know you have a busy year next year with all the workshops you'll be running. Will be in Canada or you will be traveling elsewhere?
Yeah, so you can find everything I do on Rickie Avitan, Psychic Medium .ca. Sorry, I'm still in that trance space, you know. So we will be, as I said, going to Denmark.
Oh, Denmark, yes, of course.
We will be in Denmark, so at the moment I don't have plans to travel elsewhere. Yeah, that's where it is right now. But
Okay.
I'm sure that things will be coming up. But I also wanted to thank you, Daniela, for giving me this opportunity to be here to express my learning, my love, my energy, and to share. And it is wonderful. The more we bring this to the world, the better world we're going to have.
Absolutely agree.
And I believe as above and below.
Yes.
So it is our duty and responsibility to be that child that walk upon the earth with a pure heart, to move through the valleys with ease, because we understand that after every valley, there's comes this beautiful mountain that we can cross. And when we stand on that mountain, we can watch the views and we can take it all in. So as we walk in our life with our journey, to have an understanding that we are not alone and that we have the power within us to change and transcend our own lives and the life of others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. And I hope you all made the most out of this very special evening. And thank you again, Rickie. I'm sure we will be in touch still. And with the knowledge and knowing, as we both felt, that we will be meeting in person again one day.
Yes. God,
so thank you very much again. And thank you everyone, really from our hearts, for having been here. And for next week, we will have someone else joining us. Will be Mickey from Vancouver. He is a bit more lined up. He's like a paranormal investigator. And what's the better opportunity to discuss this topic with also to discuss a bit more of, ghosts and, go a bit beyond, the mediumship, so to say. So thank you very much again. Thank you, Rickie, from my heart. And thank you, everyone. And good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.